Good evening, everyone, and thank you for joining me tonight for Shelves to Screens. Michelle unfortunately said she couldn't be here tonight, and I asked her to do this presentation because I'm Dr. Z and I run a company called Tamarind Tree Media, right? And this is all about getting pharmacies on to build their online success using social media, right? So let me start off by telling you a little bit about myself and why I find this to be an important part of success in the healthcare system. Right, so I'm Dr. Z. I have been a medical doctor for the last 20 years, and I've been transferring into the realm of entrepreneurship. But in doing so, I started doing more stuff along the lines of building my presence, building my business. And I initially started off by doing weight loss and diabetes care. And while doing that, I realized I needed to get more active on social media. Then while doing that, a nurse approached me and from Eric Williams Medical Sciences Complex, Mount Hope Women's to be precise, and asked me, because I helped her in her weight loss realm, if I would love to team up with her and using my expertise and her expertise, we build a program that helps women navigate menopause. Now, you're all wondering, what does this have to do with social media? Well, I'll get there in a moment. Right? It's not a long-winded story, but it has a purpose. When we started doing the menopause space, we first had to figure out what we wanted to do in menopause. And I was telling her, first off, let's start educating women. And that started off with us launching our YouTube channel, The Healthy Reset. And while launching the YouTube channel, though, I'm not the one who speaks on menopause. She does, right? But I was producing the channel. So we launched the channel and we started doing videos once a week. And what I discovered in doing that is it was very easy to create content with doing live videos once per week that can be reused in multiple places. And we'll get a little deeper into that a little bit later. In addition to that, I discovered the power of social media. I want to start off with a bit of a testimonial that has to do with the Healthy Reset itself. That's the channel we launched. We started off with 0 followers. No content, 0 followers. We started off with literally 0. And we just started making content every week. So we started inviting, and this is where I met Michelle Ramsey, where she joined us and I was like, well, check out what we're doing. And we started inviting women in our my host knew, which is Nurse Maria, and she knew these women, and she started inviting them to come to the channel. So we had a little trickle at first. First, we had 20 people join that became followers, and we kept on producing content. And over a period of 6 months, we were able to grow our channel from 0 views, and we'll talk about why views are important, to 500 views in 6 months. Now, that doesn't look like a lot, but honestly, that's a significant growth. Most channels, at least 70% of them, don't create 500 views for up to 4 years, sometimes longer. So we were able to do that. But when the true turnaround occurred for the Healthy Reset and First Nurse Maria was when I started repurposing the content we were doing once a week into short form content and posting it on multiple social media platforms. And that led to an immense growth in our social media presence and the amount of views we were getting. We went from barely 20 followers to 70, 80, 85 followers. Right? And that but the more significant growth was not just the followers, but we went from 500 views to 1,500 views in 1 month. And fast track to today, and in the last 28 days, we have received 5,000 views. So we have grown our channel to up to 10,000 views in the last in just the last 9 months. The channel has only been around, well, 10 months now. It's only been around for 10 months, and we're up to 10,000 views. And guess what? We only have about 80 followers. And that's super interesting, and we'll get into why that is. And that's how social media works today. Now, so let's dive in to how social media can change your pharmacy's presence in the space that is social media. Right, so let's talk about pharmacy growth. It isn't just about great content. Content is important, but it's also about a high volume of content. And that was what I saw in the growth of the Healthy Reset from going from 0 views to 10,000 in 10 months. So what does that mean for pharmacies? Now, I've worked in healthcare for a long time, and I can tell you, when I started doing this social media thing, it scared me. I don't know about you, but I was scared very horribly, right? And I really thought that something bad was going to happen to me if I started posting on social media. But then the first time I posted to social media, and I posted something personal, not with the Healthy Reset, but I posted about myself. And interestingly, nothing happened. I woke up next day, I looked on social media, and there was no comments. Sorry. What does that mean? I was scared of what the backlash would be of social media. Would it have an impact on me personally? Would it make a difference in my life? And I realized that nothing happened. And that changed my perspective of social media almost instantaneously. And that from a healthcare professional, getting on social media was scary, right? And then as an older healthcare professional, it was even scarier, right? And then I started thinking about the technology, how overwhelming is getting on multiple social media platforms. And I was like, what is wrong with me? Right? This is a lot of work. It's a lot of time. It's a lot of effort. And I don't have the time to put into this. And I don't know if you feel the same way, but if you're working your job, let's say you're working in your pharmacy and you're a pharmacy owner, or you're working in your pharmacy and you have a second job somewhere else, which many people in Trinidad and Tobago have. Most people have two jobs, right? Then do you have the time to create content and post that content, repurpose that content into multiple places? But let's talk about some of the struggles that pharmacies face. First one is low traffic or stagnant revenue. Now, I've been in lots and lots of pharmacies, and traffic is always seems to be an issue. There's never 100 people lining up all the time to see the pharmacist, right? So you want to generate traffic, and that's where social media comes into play. Then you're also competing with the big chains. In Trinidad, we know who these big chains are, right? But it's not just the big chains. Look how many pharmacies exist right within the area your pharmacy is in. So I ask you, how are you competing with these big chains and these other pharmacies? Then there's lack of time, as I mentioned earlier, to manage your social media. First, you got to make videos. Then you got to repurpose those videos into short form content. Then you have to post them to TikTok, Instagram, Facebook, YouTube Shorts, Twitter or X, and the list goes on and on. And if you're a pharmacy, you should be on LinkedIn also and be posting regularly to LinkedIn. That's your B2B. That's where customers are looking for you, right? And then you're struggling to educate or engage with your local community. What do you want to tell them? What do you want to share with them? How do you get them to become educated of the existence of your pharmacy and why it is necessary to use these to come to you and learn and understand why some medications are better than others and have your recommendations there. So, what does all mean? So anybody remember the yellow pages? Give everybody, I'd like to get a little bit of engagement when I'm going here. So give me a hands up if you remember yellow pages. And at this point, I want to go back and say, you can unmute yourself to comment, or you can go to the bottom of your screen and look at the reactions and just look for a thumbs up for me. And just give me a thumbs up if you remember the yellow pages. Right. So, do we still use the yellow pages today? Anybody still uses the yellow pages? Obviously not. I haven't seen a yellow pages in forever. In fact, the last time I saw one was probably about 2 years ago, where I think I walked into a store and there was just a stack of them in the corner. So what happened to the yellow pages? What happened was technology. Google came along and yellow pages disappeared. What happened to the people who worked for Yellow Pages? They all disappeared too. So now the Yellow Pages isn't even there. Do you remember how the Yellow Pages was set up? Everybody named their pharmacy AAA or AAA Pharmacy or AAA Pharmacy. Why? Because you wanted to appear on the first page of the Yellow Pages to be searched first and be found first. So when somebody was looking for a pharmacy, they looked for the A's. They're not going to go long to look for like my name, Dr. Z. They're not going to go down to Z to look for Z's pharmacy. So Z was losing because they ended up in A. But then the yellow pages disappeared. And what took over? Google. Google took over and all of a sudden yellow pages became obsolete. But then today we have social media. And then there's AI. And we're going to go a little deeper about why these platforms are important and how you can enhance your visibility on social media and on AI and using AI. Now, AI is artificial intelligence. I'm not saying that you guys don't know what it is, but just to be clear, we know in medicine, we kind of have a lot of abbreviations and things can be lost in translation. So let's define AI as artificial intelligence. I can't think of a medical term that has AI in it, but it might come to me. If you guys know one, just post it in the chat. So, what is the power of social media for your pharmacy then? 60% of consumers check the business online before visiting. Local social media marketing increases foot traffic. And platforms like Facebook, Instagram, YouTube help build, trust, educate, and promote. Now, what does that mean to your business? Do any of you guys, anybody who knows the 80-20 rule, put your thumbs up. No? All right. The 80-20 rule states that 20% of your customers produces 80% of your revenue. Now, what if I told you that rule is actually incorrect? It's actually closer to 60-40. What does that mean? That 60% of your revenue is only coming from 40% of your customers, right? Or better yet, 60% of your revenue comes from 20% of your customers. Sorry, I had that wrong, right? What does that mean for you? That means that you as a pharmacy and as a business need to be generating new customers all the time. That means that 40% of your customers, of your revenue, comes from new customer sales, not just repeat customers. That 40% means it's people who walk into your pharmacy and buy once in a while, but they never come back. So how do you increase the visibility of your pharmacy to get that 40% consistent revenue? Simply this, social media. If you're advertising all the time or you're building your visibility all the time on social media, whenever somebody comes into the area where your pharmacy is, the first pharmacy they notice or they remember is your pharmacy. And what do? They go on their phone and they search for that pharmacy because that's the one they saw on social media and they want to come to that pharmacy. Also, those customers who came to you once or twice but can't remember which pharmacy they got that certain product from, instead of going to the next pharmacy, because they're seeing you on social media, now come to your pharmacy because they saw and they remember that's the place I got it from. And that's why pharmacists doing on social media and being visible on social media often increases your traffic to your pharmacy, right? And increases your revenue in your pharmacy. Now, let's talk about social media usage in Trinidad and Tobago. So Facebook's still hitting one of the highest levels in the country, 1.15 million plus users. And then we have YouTube, which has an 18% market share. Instagram, 695,000 users. Pinterest, 9% market share. Twitter, 3%. TikTok, we don't have statistics in it, but it shows that TikTok is rapidly growing. And here's the thing about LinkedIn. 574,000 users in Trinidad and Tobago are on LinkedIn. So there are businesses and there are business owners and there are people and there are employees who are on LinkedIn and should be encountering your pharmacy. So what if I tell you you need to be on every single one of these platforms? Now, I know there's a lot of information out there that tells you, no, you need to focus on one platform or two platforms. It's too much to be on every platform. But how do you know which platform is going to work well for your pharmacy in your area if you're not posting to all of them? And then how do you know what content works best with your customers or with your new customers or with the Trinidadian population if you're not posting lots of content? Right? I always see a lot of social media people say, why don't you do ads? And I'm sure, has anybody ever had a social media person come to them and say, why don't we start with ads? Thumbs up if you have. Thumbs up, thumbs down if you didn't. Just to see if I can get some engagement here. So ads are great. They give you a reach. It's very specific. You can pick out the area. You can go where you want to go, but and then you can pick what audience you wanna target. But here's the problem. How do you know what area do you want to target? How do you know which part of your audience is more interested in the content you're creating or what your pharmacy may have? How do you know anything about anybody on social media to do the ads? So I've had this happen to me in the past, where content creators came to me and said, hey, let's do some ads and invest some money into ads in the area. And it always bothered me. I was like, how do you know which ad to do? What do you do? How are you testing to find out what ad will work and not work? And here's the thing, social media can do that for you, and it's free. It is the first time in the entirety of marketing and visibility that something is actually free to use. If you were back in 20, 30 years ago, you'd have to pay for commercials on the radio, on television, in the newspapers in order to get your information out there. Now you can post to social media every day and it's costing you no money. But the thing about ads is, how do you know which ad works best? And that's where organic social media posting comes in. Because if you can post organically to these 1.15 million people, and then, or these 695,000 people on Instagram, then you can see what content is trending. What is it? What is best reaching people? And once you know that, then you can refine that content and post it in a way that resonates and then spend your money on that ad because you know it works. You can also develop a cohort. So you might discover that if you have a pharmacy, let's say in Arima, that mothers between the ages of 35 and 39 are looking for a pharmacy in their area to use for a specific product. Now you can advertise that product to those mothers in that area in a 5-kilometer or 10-kilometer radius for let's say 20 US, and all of a sudden you're reaching into the pockets of moms who are in the area and looking for you. But you won't know that unless you're putting out content organically on social media. So then where do trainees search for information, right? And this will surprise you. The second largest search engine in the world right now is YouTube. More and more people are going on YouTube to search for information. And what are they looking for? They're looking for tutorials, reviews, educational content, and product comparisons. And these are all things you should be doing with your pharmacy, taking the products you already have in your store and making content about it. They're looking for increasing popular things about health, beauty, and explainer content. They want to know when they buy something from your pharmacy, they can go and find a video on how to use it instead of having to sit down. And if you're like me, you need reading glasses and read those little tiny writing that's in the instruction packets. If you can watch a video, you're more likely to do it. More and more Gen Z and millennials, more and more younger people are now using TikTok as their major search engine. So two biggest search places in the world nowadays where all the attention is going to is YouTube and TikTok. They're searching for the same things: life hacks, product recommendations, health tips, and local experiences. If you're talking about your area, do you talk about where your pharmacy is? Where can they find something nice to eat? What is a space that they can go and find a grocery store that's close to your pharmacy? All of that raises brand awareness for your pharmacy. Do you see how much content you can create that isn't just about products or about what you sell in your pharmacy? Do you talk about the history of your pharmacy? How did you start? Why did you go become a pharmacist? Why are you doing this business? All of those things generate engagement. They tell people you are and create a story. And they're looking on TikTok for popular shorts and authentic video content. The average attention span of a person today is 3 seconds. In fact, some people says it's less than the attention span of a goldfish. So you literally have 3 seconds to capture somebody's attention and then try to keep them on for the next 10 seconds so they can see more about what your pharmacy is and give them a call to action. Come find us in Arima, and you tell them where you are. So, and then, of course, there are websites and SEO. SEO is search engine optimization. This is when you connect words on your website, so people, when they do a search on Google, they go find it on your website. But here's the thing: websites and Google are losing to AI. The reason is more and more people are using AI as their search engine instead of going on Google. Now, what does that mean for you? Think about it this way. Remember, I showed you the yellow pages. Yellow pages, you had a page full of people wanting to see of products and persons. Nowadays, you go on Google and you do a search and you get 10 things on the first page. If you're not on the first 2 pages, you're losing, because hardly anybody ever goes to page 3, 4, 5, 6. If you're on page 10, it's almost like you don't exist. Here's what's happening with AI. If somebody goes on an AI and they type in what pharmacies are in this area, the AI is going to suggest 1 to 3 pharmacies. And if your pharmacy isn't regularly, consistently on social media, and your brand isn't very, very much on the top list of things the AI is going to look for, your brand is going to disappear. In other words, it will suggest 3 pharmacies to go to, and if you're not in those top 3 because of your high level of branding and visibility, you will be no longer getting business from those searches. Right? And this is also happening in YouTube and TikTok because all of them are implementing AIs into their systems. So, are you posting enough? So I want you to think of social media as the ocean. We're surrounded in Trinidad and Tobago with massive oceans. You ever went to the ocean and see rain falling in it? It looks like this, a droplet in the ocean. So if you're posting once a day on social media, once a week, once a month, you are a droplet in the ocean of social media. So let's talk before we get into why it is the post, why consistency and more posts are necessary. Let's talk about what consumers are doing. More posts means more engagement. 81% of consumers don't trust a business or brand, right? And have any of you ever, thumbs up if you ever heard of the 7-11-4 rule? Anybody? I'll give you a moment. Somebody finds a thumbs up. Let me get some engagement here. Thumbs up if you ever heard of the 7-4-11 rule. Nobody, thumbs down if you never heard of it. You can always give a thumbs up or a thumbs up. It's a quiet room tonight. So according to Google, the 7-4-11 rule is this. A consumer needs 7 hours of engagement. Sorry, guys. Oh, I'm seeing a thumbs up and thumbs down in the chat. Sorry, I can't see the chat all the time. So a consumer needs at least 7 hours of engagement at 11 touch points with interactions across 4 different locations. So in other words, you need to create a minimum of 7 hours of content to get customers to trust that your brand is what it says it is, right? And at least 11 different spaces, 11 different touch points. That's multiple social media platforms, emails, newsletters, advertising on radio or being on TV. All of those things are touch points in 4 different locations. And that includes those locations, whether it's an advertising board on the highway, whether it's seeing you on TikTok doing a video, all of those are your touch points. So you see how much engagement customers require today because customer trust is at an all-time low. There's so much misinformation out there. And to tell you the honest truth, a lot of customers are losing trust in our healthcare professionals. They would prefer to go to a herbalist than go to a pharmacist and get the correct information. Has any of you ever encountered that? Thumbs up if you have, thumbs down if you haven't. I know I have in my medical profession where customers would prefer, patients would prefer to go to a herbalist or a massage therapist or somebody who cracks their back before coming to me for proper advice, right? So that's where customer engagement is. We got to rebuild that trust. And one of the best ways to rebuild that trust is today on social media. So if you're only posting once per week, that means you're getting 52 posts per year. I'm just using the amount of weeks in a year. 1 week, 152 posts per year. Do you think you're making contact with your customers? Yeah, but you're a drop in that ocean, as I said before. Now let's do posts more. Let's say you're posting 20 times per day. Does this scare you? Over 3 platforms. If this makes you crazy and you're like, oh my God, 20 posts, is he crazy? Guess what? That's what I do every day. I post 20 times a day. I have more than 500 posts going out every day on multiple platforms. And guess what? They're going out right now, and I'm talking to you. So if you're posting 20 times per day, and this is not coming from my advice, if any of you have ever heard of this guy named Gary Vee, he's one of the world's foremost social media marketers. And he says, businesses should be putting more time and money into the creative and posting more on social media today than anywhere other platform. And he recommends 3 to 20 posts on all 7 of the major platforms. And you can probably count them out in your head which 7 platforms those are, right? And he is right. That is how I grew my social media page from 0 views to close to 10,000 views in 10 months. I have done this for other clients one of my clients, she's a pigeon peas queen of Trinidad and Tobago. She started off with less than 8 views on her social media accounts on TikTok, YouTube, Instagram, and elsewhere. And today she has more than 70,000 posts in all of those platforms. And that's we've only been working together for the last 2 months. Her social media campaign has taken off and she's getting engagement. I was chatting with her the other day while we were having one of our meetings, and she was on the phone with somebody from St. Kitts and Nevis asking for her book on pigeon peas recipes. A person in St. Kitts and Nevis found her on social media. When she asked her, "Where did you find me?" "Oh, I saw you. I saw a video with you on TikTok. I wanted to learn more." Called her on her phone to ask her to get the book to her. Right? So that's the impact of social media. So if you're posting 20 times per day, you're getting more than 500 plus touch points per year. Right? And that compared 52 to 500, right? That's actually 500 plus touch points per month. I actually was supposed to put a month there. I forgot to change it. Right? So 52 per year versus 500 per month. And then all of a sudden, what happens? This. You become, instead of a drop, a raindrop on that ocean, you become a raging river flowing into the ocean that's social media. And if you've ever seen a raging river, if you've ever gone to the big rivers in Trinidad and see when rain falls and how much water is flooding in, and you see all the water changes color and everything because of that river. That's what you're posting on social media can do if you're doing consistently and creating content that resonates with your ideal customers. So before we dive in, I want to stop now and ask everybody, any of you have any questions? You can always post it to the chat, or you can come on and ask me, or what do you think? Does anybody have any questions at this point? I like to engage my audience, but I seem to have a very quiet group tonight. So I don't see any questions in the chat, so let's continue. So let's talk about the power of video. And this is where my company plays a big role, because I believe video content is probably one of the most powerful content you have out there. And video is rapidly changing. There's now faceless videos and AI videos. So you don't necessarily have to be on a video yourself, but you can have AI videos. Now, I can say right now, the AI videos aren't very, very good. They're very small loops. So I don't use as much AI videos. But let me tell you why AI videos might not be the best. But I will tell you about that at the end of what I show you here with videos. So here are some statistics on videos. 54% of consumers want to see more video content from brands they support. In other words, they want to see more about your videos. And that video content is not necessarily about the product itself, but how to use the product. How do's and don'ts about a product. All of those are videos you can do. What are the side effects or the positive effects of using a certain drug or product that you sell in your pharmacy, right? How do you use a thermometer? How many people here know how to use a thermometer, but have seen somebody use it in the weirdest ways possible? My favorite one is the Ventolin inhaler. I have one on my desk right here. This one right here. Let me get the camera to see it. Right, there you go. Has anybody seen anybody use this incorrectly? Give me a thumbs up or a thumbs down if you have. I gotta open the chat to see you guys do that. Has anybody ever seen anybody use an inhaler incorrectly? I have, tons of times. They take the inhaler, they put it to the side of the face, and they use it as perfume. Or they blow and they don't breathe. Or some other thing like that. Now, if you're doing videos on how to correctly use your inhalers from your pharmacy and it has your pharmacy's logo, guess who they'll remember that teaches them how to use it? Not the doctor in the clinic, not the person who sold you, who the company. No, they'll remember your pharmacy and you telling them about their inhaler. So that's why videos are so important. 72% of customers prefer to learn about a product from a video. They prefer to look at something and listen to it, and sound bites are important. A lot of people are listening to stuff in their cars now where they're not looking at videos, and they want to learn from a video, right? Or from a sound bite. And viewers retain, and look at this, 95% of the message that comes from a video versus 10% from reading it from text. And that includes text like what I have behind my head, right? I have so little text here just because of this statistic. You will retain only 10% of the text you read. And companies using video have seen revenue grow faster, 49% faster than those who don't. Social media video posts are 48% more views than non-video posts. Interesting, isn't it? 48% more views if you use a video than to use a post, than using a non-video post. TikTok has changed the way social media operates today. The TikTokification of social media has taken it from social to interest. That's why I can get 10,000 views on my channel with only 80 followers, and my client Flo can get 70,000 plus views, 50,000 of which are on TikTok, although she had 0 followers on TikTok. She was getting 3,000 views on some of her videos, and she only had 10 followers. How is that possible? Because it's now interest-based, and the algorithms show people who are searching for you what they want to see. On our YouTube channels, on the YouTube channels that I manage, 96% of the people who are watching my videos are coming from non-followers. 96%. Only 6% of the views are coming from my followers on my channel. That's how much social media has changed. So what if you could be the go-to expert in your community? What if you could share health tips, promotions, product spotlights without lifting a finger? Attract more customers using education and engagement posts, and build a recognizable and trusted brand locally. Let me give you another testimonial. One of my clients, she helps people to speak on stages. She recently, well, when we started working together, she had a channel on YouTube that was 10 years old. And in that 10 years, she had 80 views. 10 years, 80 views. That's 8 views per year. Today, she has more than 20,000 views on her channel, and we've been working together for the last 2 months. What happened? Because she's posting and she has amazing content. She shows people how to prepare themselves to be on stage, to speak on a stage. And she has great testimonials. The problem is she wasn't putting them on social media. And now that she is, and she's using a lot of shorts and she's getting these little snippets, they are now coming to see more and more of her information. She's seeing a higher level of engagement. Recently, she ran a workshop where she had 20 people join her workshop coming just from social media. And to tell you the honest truth, 20 more people come into your pharmacy, coming to your business, is a significant change in the amount of your revenue and retention of customers. Those are people you can turn into loyal customers or who can become returning visitors. But if you can do that all the time, 20 people coming in, 20 people coming, think about that growth in your business. So that's how you build your brand on social media. Now, social media has 2 strategies. And it has multiple strategies. The posting without a strategy gets you nowhere. Yes, eventually you might encounter something, but it can get you nowhere because you don't have a strategy. And that's what we help you do in Tamarind Tree Media. So what is our solution? We have created a done-for-you social media content for your pharmacy. In other words, we do all the heavy lifting because I understand, I know what it feels like to not have the time to create content, not have the time to post content, to have your pharmacy to run. I have a friend who I play sports with. He is always complaining about the amount of work he has to do in his pharmacy. And because he has a few government contracts, how much paperwork is keeping him from doing anything else, right? And he runs away. He's in his pharmacy all till 9, 10 o'clock in the night and finally runs away to get a meal or to go exercise because he has to get out of the pharmacy eventually, right? So I understand what it is to not have the time to do this stuff. So we take care of that for you. We do localized, professional, and brand-aligned content. In other words, build a story, we build the visibility, and we use strategic posting for you to build your presence on social media. And what I mean by that, why I would suggest using less AI-created videos at the very beginning, because you want to build your brand awareness and trust. If you're using AI videos, how do people know it is you and your pharmacy it's coming from? These AI videos can be created anywhere in the world. And what if somebody says something that you would never say and puts it as an AI video? How can you defend that if you don't have content out there where you can go, hey, look at my content, and if you ever seen anything like that come out of my mouth, I want you to tell me, right? And if you are creating that kind of content where you have the ability to say, look, I will never say that. And if you ever look at any of my content, you will see I'll never say that, right? Then people will be like, yeah, I trust you more than that person who created that video. That's why I always encourage my customers and my clients to do more real videos, make those mistakes, let them see the real you before going to AI videos. And later on, we do a strategy which incorporates AI videos. So now you can spend less time because now we have enough content to say, we're not going to say anything out of the ordinary, right? And I help you build out all of that. I build the scripts. I give you the details of how to do your content. All of it is included. You get monthly strategy and daily implementation. So we run your calendar on social media for you so you don't have to do it. As I said, while talking on this mesh session, a post went out for me. In fact, more than one went out because it's been implemented on my calendar. We do video content, reels, flyers, tips, and more in your content, right? So before we dive into this, do we have any questions at this point in time? All right, so let's talk about my simple 4-step system. I help people to get this done. As I said, I try to keep this as friction-free as possible with as little of your time being taken up. I try to give you back your time. So I did see a question pop up. You have to run. I'm almost done. So if you want to stick around. So Mr. Isaac, if you'd like to, give me a few more minutes and I will close off here. So here's my 4-step process. Let me just get us going. We first meet, we do a roadmap and a strategy session, right? And that's the most time you spend with me. That's usually between an hour to 3 hours in the first month. And then after that, I just need an hour of your time. And then you create your content. We do custom content creation, which includes thumbnails, videos, and titles. And thumbnails are important. As I said, you have 3 seconds. So you have to have a catchy thumbnail, a catchy title, and the first second of your video has to be something that catches the person's attention. We automate the posting for you to 3 platforms or more, depending on which ones you choose. And we do monthly insights and strategy adjustments based on our constant research and development for knowing what trends are happening and how to apply them to the different areas you are involved in, right? And If you are interested in what we do and you'd love to hear more, and I can go into more detail on it in a one-on-one call, here's my booking link. So you can, I'll cut and paste this and put it in the, all right, so give me 1 second. Let's take off this. So there's all my details, and I'll post it in the chat. So if you'd like to book more, to learn more from me, book a call with me and let's sit down for a short chat, and I can go through what our strategy is, and we can start working on how and what works best for you. I have multiple levels in my program, so I can share that with you. Right, and my program is separated into 3 different groups. There's a starter package, which is for those now starting out in social media and trying to build their visibility. There's a visibility builder package. The starter package is 12 posts per week, right? The visibility builder package is 30 plus posts per week. And then we have the accelerator package, where we do at up to 100 posts per week on multiple platforms. All of these are done through my company. It involves very little of your time in order for you to be able to take back your time and be able to run your business knowing that social media is running your background. So this time, I'd like to close off by saying, book a call with me. You have my booking link right there. And if you have any questions, please bring it to the table and let me see if I can answer them for you. Any concerns or questions? That's it, rather quiet group tonight. So we lost 2 of our guests. So I would like to say, if there's no questions, and if you'd like, does anybody want to book a call? Well, you have the booking link. So come on a call and let's talk about what I can do, what Time Tree Media can do to help to build your presence on social media in multiple spaces, not just one social media platform, but I work with multiple of them. Everything from TikTok, Instagram, Facebook, YouTube, LinkedIn, and Twitter. We can be posting on all those platforms every day if need be. Right? Thank you very much. It's been wonderful having you on here. I hope you learned something today and can take away something from this presentation. Good evening, everyone.